Will Hild joins the program again, Executive Director at Consumers Research. Today the topic is BlackRock, and my goodness, this organization, which has been so destructive in so many ways, is finally getting noticed for what they're doing. Will Hild, welcome back to the Schilling Show, and thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Great to be with you.
Hey, would you tell us just a bit about Consumers Research and the Consumers First initiative that you're involved in?
Absolutely. We're the nation's oldest consumer protection organization, dating back to 1929. I came on 5 years ago as the executive director to retool the organization to go after woke capitalism and the disease that's causing it, ESG, and namely companies like BlackRock and its CEO, Larry Fink, who are using your assets under management, meaning your 401k, your state's pension funds, to push a far-left woke agenda, not with his money, but with our money. And so we spend 99% of our time focused on that, and that includes running, as you noted, multi-million-dollar ad campaigns against BlackRock and other companies. We've run ads against Nike, Coca-Cola, Ticketmaster, MLB, American Express, pushing these companies to get back to their core mission of serving their consumers, not woke politicians.
You mentioned these companies, and just briefly, I think it would be instructive to note that these companies oftentimes are being pressured, and it's not to give them an excuse because they should resist the pressure, but it's not always happening organically, is it?
No, not at all. And I think that for some people is very confusing. I totally understand that. Why are these companies that ostensibly want my money constantly doing things that seem to be offensive to the vast majority of the country, pushing, in one case, we had whistleblowers bring us information that State Farm was pushing transgender ideology books into the hands of kids as young as 5. Why would they do that? Well, the reason is because they are being pushed by these large asset managers. And these are not people who are managing their own money. They're managing money for clients, big clients. The Federal Thrift Savings Plan, for example, like the Federal Pension Fund for the military and for our federal workers. Your state's local, your city, pension, the firefighters, the police officers, the teachers, those all have state pension funds. And these large asset managers have hoovered them up. They've collected all these clients. BlackRock manages about $11.5 trillion. But when they walk into the C-suites of these companies, even though it's your money that they're managing, they get to speak as if it's their money because they're the ones controlling the shares. And so Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, is on record publicly stating that he pushes all kinds of far-left progressive agenda items. He's been, he pushes race and sex-based quotas in the boards of all the companies that they're invested in. He pushes so-called net zero targets, meaning net zero carbon emissions. These are harmful, destructive policies that raise costs for consumers everywhere from the gas pump to the grocery store. So you're 100% right. That's not to let these C-suites off the hook. They need to do their duty to their shareholders, but more importantly to their consumers. But they are getting pressure from these large asset managers, and we spend a large portion of our time pushing back, calling these companies to account. They're breaking the law, and we call on elected officials from the states all the way to the federal government to hold them to account, and it's working.
Let's talk about American Airlines and how they're involved in this, because there was a recent court ruling that involved them and BlackRock.
Yes, very exciting news coming out of the Fifth Circuit Court in Texas. American Airlines employees were suing their employer, the airline itself, because the employer owes a fiduciary duty to them as employees to make sure that the person managing their retirement pension funds is following their fiduciary duty, that's doing their job and not, pushing their own political agenda. Well, in this case, American Airlines used BlackRock. And the judge found in that case that the breach of the fiduciary duty by BlackRock was so egregious and so obvious that American Airlines is actually liable for those losses to their employees attributable to this, to BlackRock pushing ESG with their money. Now, what's interesting about this case is that you could copy-paste that fact pattern onto pretty much every corporation in America that happens to use BlackRock to manage their employees' pension funds, because BlackRock pushes these far-left progressive politics with all of their assets under management, whether you are invested in an explicitly ESG fund with them or whether you just have your money in the most vanilla thing possible, the S&P 500 fund. When they walk into these C-suites and they pressure these companies, they are doing it with the full force of all of those shares. And so they were using American Airlines employees' retirements to push this really bad, deleterious nonsense with those people's money, and the judge found them liable, which means any corporation that is using BlackRock is going to be in the same situation. This could very well